attend.
And what is your role in the project?
My name is Cecilia Atencio and I am a substitute tail instructor.
My name is Maria Beta and I'm a Tewa instructor for the kindergarten.
My name is Bertha Burke and I'm a third and fourth grade teacher for the Tewa program.
My name is Esther Martinez. I'm the curriculum director of the bilingual program.
My name is Gertrude Calvert and I'm the Tewa instructor for the first grade.
My name is Frances Harney. I'm a second grade Tewa instructor.
Okay, now everybody should remember to look at Artie when you answer, okay? All right, now let's go with the first question.
You want to go with the first question?
No, I mean, that was fine. We'll go to the second.
What is the goal of the program and who does it serve?
Let's speak to Esther.
Our goal is to teach our children to learn how to speak, read and write their language, and be proud of being Indian.
Anybody else want to say? Any other kinds of goals that you might have for this program?
We teach the Tewa program to reinforce what they are already learning in their classrooms, so that the children that are having problems in the classroom will be able to catch up with the others.
How is the program organized and how is it funded?
The program was first started about 4 years ago. We had a program down at the public school and it was going well, and then the day school wanted a bilingual program and got together this group of teachers. We had a couple that went away, had to do other jobs, but this group that is here started from the very beginning, and we really had nothing to work with. We had to work and do our material from scratch, and everybody pitched in from the very beginning. It was a hard job getting things off the ground. The teachers had to be trained to learn how to read and write their language. They were all fluent teachers. Fluent speakers of the Tewa language, but they had to learn how to read and write the language, and that is a hard job, especially when you speak the language. You have your own way of speaking, and when it's written down, it's kind of hard to read it just the way it's written down. So that was a struggle. We had to learn how to read and write the language before we started with the classes. And then making the material, everybody had to pitch in. It was just starting from the first grade level, let's say, just oral language. In the second year, we went into reading and writing it from the third grade on up. So it was a slow process, and it has been a hard struggle up to now. And the teachers are very dedicated. They're all good teachers and very understanding. They understand the problems of the children and take a lot of time, even time that they put in extra. And well, that's about it.
Anybody else? How is the program funded? Where do the funds come from?
We're funded through Title IV, and we're lucky that we're funded for 3 years now, so that all we have to do is just present whatever we have done through the year, and then put in what we are going to do for the coming year, and that's still a lot of work. We make books. There is one here that is for the second graders. It's a picture book, and it has names of the animals, different animals. And this is done by the teachers here. We go along with our material as we go along teaching. Anything we need, we just get busy and make whatever we need. Like in the other bilingual programs, in English you can go to a bookstore and buy whatever material you need. And in Spanish, I'm sure there are things that you can buy to teach the Spanish language, but Tewa, you have to start from scratch. The language itself is, when you speak it, it's okay, but to write it, as you can see here, this is all done by the teachers, the fruit and the names of the fruit, and we have flashcards that are also done by the teachers.
Did you have any correspondence with other tribes that have had bilingual programs to help you out in getting started, or was there any experience somebody else might have had that was helpful to you?
We visited a couple of bilingual programs. We went to the Navajo country and visited one there to get ideas of how they were doing their job. And we got some ideas, a few ideas here and there, and that helped a lot. Ideas from other sources that were not bilingual. We had a lot of help from some of the teachers that we talked to in other areas.
Does the bilingual program run in separate classes that just have to do with that program, or is it spread pretty much across the curriculum?
We have 40 minutes in a classroom where the children speak only the native language.
Okay. Anybody else have anything you'd like to contribute to the way the program is organized?
Well, at the beginning of the, when the program first started, we were sort of isolated, you know. And by that I mean that we were bringing the students into this room, and we would teach them the class, or the Tewa class would be held here in this room. But then as the years went, I think starting last year sometimes, we started going into the classrooms where the main teacher is. And this is where we're having our Tewa classes now, in the classroom with the other teachers. And seems like to me that my third and fourth grade students, you can more or less tell what area they're weak in as far as the main teacher is concerned. So that's where we try to help each other in helping the student pick up whatever subject that they might be low in. So it's really working good.
Mm-hmm. And so you have pretty good cooperation with the teachers in the BIA?
Yes, my certain one, yes. Uh-huh.
Okay. And those teachers then maybe use some of these concepts to build on in teaching mathematics, or in teaching history, or in some other portions of the curriculum? Because I know in one of the cases that we visited at the Yakima tribe in Washington State, they were doing this. They started out basically with a bilingual program, but then they began to expand, and they began to develop materials on mathematics in the Yakima language, and materials on history, and maybe some materials on conservation and things like that. So they spread the teaching not from just the bilingual program, but they spread it right on through the curriculum. Mm-hmm. I thought that was very interesting. Okay. How many of you are parents of children in the program? How many of you have children in the program? Okay. We know who to talk to when you come back and ask that question. You won't get away that time. Okay, all right, now let's go to the next question.
Why is it important to use culturally relevant materials in this program?
I think it's important to use material that the children are already used to in the area, instead of using something that they have never seen before. And they take a lot more interest in things that they have been in contact with.
Anybody else have any ideas?
Well, I think that the kids really do enjoy things that pertain to our pueblo, things that we have. Like, for instance, when I'm having numbers with my children, numbers from 1 through 10, they really enjoy things like maybe a traditional custom of clothes that might be used as objects to be counted. And sometimes I have them on paper, but sometimes if I can, I try to bring the certain things from home to show to the children so they could actually see what it really looks like and to feel it and to just compare it, I guess, with whatever thing that we talk about in the school, within the class. So.
Anybody else?
Well, this is the first time that I'm teaching second grade. I was teaching third, fourth, and fifth before when I first started. And working with the older kids to me I was more comfortable with working with them than I am with little ones now, because the things that I bring to the school to show the kids when we're doing science or health or social studies, I would go up into the mountains or the hills to get things for the kids, and then I would bring it here and show to them that this thing that I brought is the same thing that is sold in the store. But to them, they were always asking, why does it look different? I said, it may look different, but the taste is the same. So hopefully this year, this coming spring, that I can teach the same thing to the little ones and make them aware of the same things that are in the store can be found outside our own reservation.
Anybody else have any ideas or thoughts about this? When you're developing your materials and when you're, say, teaching cultural things like finding roots and herbs and other things in the mountains, do you call on other people from the tribe? Do you get other people to come in and demonstrate dances or medicine or something of that nature?
We haven't had anything in medicine yet, but we do have people from the village come in and demonstrate how to do pottery, beadwork, embroidery, and this is a basket that was made by one of our elders, and there's the whole process on the wall there, and the children really enjoyed doing this kind of work. Even if it's just plain tortillas that they do in the classroom, it seemed to have a better taste for some reason. Cooking a pot of beans tastes different in the classroom, and the children enjoy doing it with the elders from the village, and the elders like coming in working with the children. So it works both ways. The children get to know their elders, the elders get to know the children and know what makes them tick. So it's working both ways. We like having the elders come in and help with the children.
Do the elders ever tell stories or legends to the children?
Yes, they do. They tell stories, they sing them songs, and a lot of other things, even if it's just plain everyday talk of how things were in their early days without television and radio, without electricity. The children seem to enjoy all that, even the old games.
So they teach the old games too.
Mhm.
They teach stick games?
Well, anything that they happen to cross their mind, they tell about the games and teach them. We had a shinny game a while back between the staff and the students, and it was quite enjoyable. The students won, of course. That doesn't mean that the staff wasn't good at the game. They let them win just to let them feel good. Makes them feel good, you know, to know that they're better at something than the teachers.
Do you have a program? I see you have an audio tape recorder. Do you have a program where you maybe make audio tapes of some of the stories and the legends from the elders?
Yes, we do. We tape the stories as they tell them, and then we translate it. Well, not. It is translated into English, but then it's also put down in the native language so that the children can have some reading stories to read in their own language. Even the elders seem to enjoy stories that are written down, and the children can read it to them.
What has been the effect on the children the program serves?
I'd like to start on the right and then just go right across and let each of you say how you think this program affects the children that you see in the classroom every day. Okay? Okay. You go ahead. Okay. Oh, you can pass?
Yeah.
All right. Just a second. Okay, good.
Well, I think that the kids are benefiting from it. And I also see a lot of interest with the little ones, especially working with the kindergarten. I see that a lot of my little ones are really interested with our program that we have, because for them this is a new experience for them. They're being aware of certain things that maybe they haven't been aware of before, like take for instance, some of the kids haven't been dancing in the village, and when they came to school, some of my little ones, especially the bashful ones, were the main ones that wanted to dance, and that made me feel good, and I'm pretty sure the kids felt good also, that they were able to learn, and that like some of the things that were taught to them would benefit them if it didn't at the present. Maybe hopefully throughout the future they can have something to look back to what they had learned when they were in kindergarten.
Do you see any transference? Say, if children are really interested in the bilingual program, do they tend to do better in their other subjects, would you say, or have you really looked at that?
I'd like to say this, that at the very beginning of the program, there seems to be a lot of things that they didn't understand, you know, when the teacher would give an assignment in English, maybe history or just science or something, and they had a hard time understanding some of the words that were in the lesson or something. And when the bilingual program started, well, when we first went into the classroom and we see things like that, there maybe the words that they didn't understand, maybe the meaning of, you know, and if you talk to them in our own language, they sort of catch on a little bit easier. Maybe the explanation or something, you know, sort of made the thing clearer to them. So I think that there is, I mean, it is helping. I know that it has helped some of the students that I work with.
Also, the time that I was working with the older kids, one of the classroom teachers even came up to me and told me, I don't think without the help of the Tewa teachers, some of these kids will not even improve in their reading, because it has really helped them to take more interest not only in the Tewa language, but also in the way of doing their academic work. And she said, I know that I can always be proud. Even if I should leave this school, I'll know that the children that I have taught are improving each year. Not only in their English work, academic wise, but also in their Tewa language. And I guess that's the reason why that I can say this for my own children. I mean, the oldest one, that she never spoke the Tewa language. I myself is married to an Apache from Arizona, and I have always taught my children the English language, never Tewa. And this was one thing that my husband's grandmother said to us. Teach your children at least one language. It may not be yours, but at least have them learn the Apache language, something that they can be proud of to carry on and not be ashamed of. So when we moved down here and when the Tewa program came about, I talked to my husband and he said, well, maybe this is the answer, that we teach them the Tewa language. And we've been here for about 5 years now. And my children, all 3 of them, are speaking the Tewa language. The oldest one can carry on a conversation with her grandpa. Now completely, not fluently, but he understands what she's trying to say. So that when I started to work here, I felt, now I know what the other parents are going through too, those other children that aren't speaking the Tewa language. This is one way of them learning it, maybe not at home, but as the years came, we had parent-teacher conference, and parents had even asked us if we can hold classes so they can learn them too, because some of them are already lost their. During the session that I have with them, there's new words that I would give to them, and that would be the first time that they would hear it, and it's very interesting to them. And sometimes they even go further for them to ask me what it is, or when it has to do with an object, or if it has to do with a dance, they want to know how it was done, or where it was done, or who had done it before. And there's some nursery rhymes that we have translated into Tewa, and we have it, this is the way we wash our clothes in Tewa, and they love to do that because there's a lot of motion that we have to go through, and they really love doing that. And when they give me the impression that they really want to do it, it makes me feel good that I'm here as a Tewa instructor teaching them the language that they want to keep up as they grow old.
Did you have any last thoughts about this?
Yes, I was noticing one of the little ones in Gertrude's class one time when I went in. He came in, he's one of the non-speakers, and he was new just then. I believe he was there just about 2 weeks or maybe 3, not very long, and he had picked up some of the words. He came in, of course he didn't know then just what he was saying, but he was chattering all the sounds that he had learned up to that time, and he was really proud that he could do the sounds even if he didn't know what he was talking about. And during our Christmas play, too, I noticed there were a few children that were having trouble learning their parts. And I sat down with a few of them to help them out with their pieces that they were supposed to say. And then I explained to them what they were saying. And then when they find out, what they were saying, it gives them a lot more interest in the play. And then they want me to go over the whole thing to tell them what the whole thing meant, and they enjoyed reading their parts and saying the words. They are really enthused about learning the language, and we're very proud of the children that they have this feeling. It makes it so much easier for the teachers to do their jobs when they have a bunch of children that are willing and ready to learn.
When you decide, say, that you want to develop some program materials, some teaching materials in Tewa, how do you go about it? How would you start if you, say, wanted to develop something on a certain series of words or a series of concepts, like maybe hunting or fishing or something like that?
Well, we right now we have a social study program that we're developing on just wheat alone, how wheat was planted and how it was done in the olden days, which include the threshing and all that without the machinery. And then how you go about making it into flour. You have to wash it down, take it down to the river, wash it, and then dry it out in the sun. And you have to dry it just to a certain dryness before you take it to the mill. If you get it too dry, you don't get as much flour. You get mostly bran or things like that. And we're still working on it. There is, we're lucky to have a Spanish man up in Truchas, which is, which way is it? This way? Up in this area. He still does his wheat planting and cutting and threshing all the way it was done in the olden days. And I talked to his son and asked him if we can take some of our children about the time he's going to thresh. And he said to bring them up, so we're still looking forward to it. I was sick last year, so we didn't do anything about it. But I'm hoping this coming year we can take the older bunch to see the threshing done.
How would you go about, say, putting together a book like the Book of Pictures and Words on something like wheat? How would you start on something like that? If you were telling somebody else, let's say somebody came in from the Choctaw Nation and they wanted to start some kind of a program like this, and they said, well, where do we start? How do we get it off the ground? What do you start with?
Well, you first tell your story of how it's done. If you're going to teach it in your native language, do it in a native language, write it down. But if it's going to be done in English, write it in English along with some pictures to go with it. We do have some pictures of how it was cut by hand, and here's our artist right there. We have young folks who come in from the high school to help out with, even if it's just cleaning, we put them to work to do whatever it is they can help us out with. We were lucky to have him do the artwork, and the other boy in the corner there, he's pretty good in drawing too. I think all Indian children are good at artwork. I'm really proud to say that. Even the young ones, the very small ones, when you tell them a story and tell them to draw something about the story, they come out with real nice pictures in their own way. And even without them explaining to you what it is, you can tell more or less what the picture is about. So I think all Indian children have that knowledge of art.
Yeah, we know a lot of very good Indian artists that we have met in our project, this project, and also in the other project that we're doing with documenting tribal activities in different places. As a matter of fact, our consultant is he's a Miccosukee man who is living in Seminole or near Seminole, Oklahoma. His name is Kelly Haney. Some of you may have heard Enoch Kelly Haney.
Are there any other things that like high school students or other students help you as far as in developing that curriculum? You mentioned the drawing. Are there any other things that they do and assist?
Do they work with the children, say, for example, ever?
No.
No, they don't so far. Are these children who have been through the bilingual program before and have come back to help, or was the bilingual program not operating when these young people who come back from high school were in
These boys were my first students. I was down at the public school when it first started, and these were my first students. And we started from just the oral language too, and then it went on to reading and writing. So they may have forgotten some because we haven't had any since then. It would be nice to have the program on into the junior high and up to the high school. Tewa language, when you speak it, it's easy. At least that's the way I thought before I learned how to read and write. When you know how to speak the language, you should have an easy time reading and writing. But there's so many. We have a lot more pronouns in the language that you have to know which pronoun to use with which verbs. So up in high school, they will be learning the complicated grammar in the Tewa language.
There's a very interesting program down in Georgia that you all may have heard about called the Foxfire program. And it seems to me it would really be nice if in junior high and high school the kids could go out and make their own books in Tewa about things like hunting, tracking, the medicine that comes out of the mountains, and things of that nature. That would be a terrific way to keep them involved, and they could maybe do this as part of their English class in this bilingual program, if it could be arranged. That'd be exciting. Okay, Ari, the next question.
How has the program been accepted by the people of San Juan Pueblo?
We've had a lot of comments from the people in the village. They enjoyed, like Pauline said about the Tewa Mass. After Mass, when we come out, the elders have stopped us outside the church and told us how much more they've enjoyed the Mass in their own language, even if the reading is done in both in English and in Indian, and people who have learned how to read and write English have told us that they enjoyed it in their own language so much more. And I believe it's going over good with the people in the village.
And I've heard comments from people that have gone to Mass. They have told me that in hearing the Tewa Mass being said in Tewa, it had more meaning to them. So they have really enjoyed hearing the Mass in Tewa.
Also, some of the even young folks that have never been, well, haven't been going to church, they started going. And then after Mass, when we come out, when we're gathering our booklets to bring them back here, some of them will ask, may I keep it? I can learn some of it. Maybe it can help me even more. So we tell them, sure, go ahead and keep it.
Anybody else have any experience?
We not only have the literature, we also have songs, like the hymns and stuff like that. And some of that is on tape, so a lot of the people that have, that's been exposed to that, they've showed a lot of interest in that too. And Christmas carols, well, when the program first started, we did just about a dab of everything, and, everything went over good. We didn't really know what to do next, It was just something exciting, and we took the children out caroling, and I don't know, we stayed out till I don't know when. We drank so much cocoa we were sick, but everybody really enjoyed it, And like myself, the main teacher in the classroom and the aide that was there, we just packed all the kids in the car and we went all around, and everybody seemed to enjoy it, And well, it's just great.
I would just like to say that during the parent-teacher conference that we had, many of my parents were very glad that our program existed, because many of the things that I have taught the children, many of the concepts that I use, the children take things that they've learned, they've taken home, and like new words, for instance, if they've learned new words and they ask maybe their mothers or their fathers what, a certain thing, maybe vegetables of some kind that they didn't know how they were called in our native language, and the kid goes home and starts telling them, well, mommy or daddy, this is the way we say maybe a carrot in Tewa. I learned it today. And many of the parents that did come to the conference were telling me that our bilingual program was very good, and that they wish, this one is, they just, I guess, like what they were trying to say was that since our bilingual program started, many of the kids have really learned a lot, and the parents, what the parents couldn't teach them, they were learning at school. So.
Now, you're a younger person. What about the people in your age group? How do they feel about this program?
Well, I think most of, I guess they like it. They enjoy it too, and like my cousins that are my same age, when I take home a book and I read it to them, they want to get into it too. I think they're interested in it, and they would like to learn too. Because like one of my aunt that's away for a long time, now that she came back for Christmas, she went to Mass when we had it in Tewa, and she heard the carols, and she said she liked it better and it sounded better, and she would like to learn more maybe when she comes next time. She could learn to read it then, and she would like for her kids to learn too, because they don't know how to speak, and I gave them a book and I was showing how to read it, and they really enjoyed it. And I think they learned some of the words, but I think all the young kids should learn to read it and write it, because I like it, I enjoy it, because being a substitute, I'm learning a lot from the other teachers, and even in writing, and some words that I don't know, I ask them, and then how to pronounce it or write it, and let's see. My grandfather told me stories, and some words I didn't understand, and I asked him what it meant, and now I can write it. So I showed him how to write the word that he had told me. So I really learned a lot from what I've been doing.
One of the problems, and a lot of people say that the reason for it is because of the fact that today many Indian children don't really receive much in the way of orientation on their own heritage and their own language. One of the problems is dropout rate in school. It's too early really to measure at the point at which you all are teaching. Now, your program goes from kindergarten through 6th grade?
Right.
Yeah. But you could see at the end of 6th grade, what do you think has been the effect now in terms of this business of transferring the interest from, say, the bilingual program into other school subjects? Do you think it's going to have a good effect on the dropout rate, that more kids maybe will go on to junior high school and high school and finish? Or is it hard to say at this point?
I think it's a little hard to say right now. I mean, you know the interest is there and all that, but after they leave, like now, after they leave 6th grade and get on into the junior high, everything sort of changes, and it's a little hard to say right now.
I don't have anything more to say. I wouldn't know. I sure wouldn't know like she said, the interest is there. And with a bilingual program going on here, and then they leave for junior high, it's like leaving a nest and going off to new area. And I suppose it is kind of hard.
Do you think, though, that as they go into junior high or into high school or even into college, that having this language experience and the experience in their own culture would be helpful to them? Would
I
it
think
encourage
so.
them?
Yes, I think so. I think it would encourage them a lot more.
Seems like they
I'd like to say something on that yet. I have a couple of children that are going to college, and the boy was, well, he just started this year, and at the beginning of the term, he asked if, well, he knew we had the program and all that, and he's seen some of the materials that we've had here, and they were coming up to like a term paper and stuff like that. And he had decided that he would do a term paper on Indian games and stuff like that. And so I asked permission to see if we could let him borrow some of the pictures that we have, you know, so he could sort of fall back on writing his term paper and stuff like that. So he took the pictures, wrote the term paper, and he had something, you know, that he could show or, you know, leave it sort of on a bulletin board or whatever, where the students and, you know, the teachers can come by and see, you know, so he could, you know more or less what his term paper was about. So with that experience, you know he's he's got interest in knowing what's going on and how things were done, you know, years ago. So there, you know, the interest is there, and with that, I know he's learned some. So.
Would you like to see the program continue and expanded?
Yes, I would like to see the program expand on to junior high and high school and even up to college, so that we may have young people to become interested in the program. When we are not able to carry on, there will be somebody that is able to handle the job better than we have, with a better understanding in education.
And I like to see the program continued for the simple reason that there's the Spanish bilingual program has been going on for years, and you know that they're doing something, they're getting somewhere. And by that I mean politics is always their main thing, you know. And I'd like for Indian people to be someday to be able to do the things that goes on, you know, not be able to stand back and watch from the sidelines. I'd like for the young children to pick up some of these things and put up their opinions or whatever, you know, so you can more or less be within the same boat, I guess I would say.
Also, like the governor said, when he put this question to him, if they would like to see it continue. This is one thing my dad said. A lot of children are forgetting their native language now, either because they don't want to learn or because they come from intermarriages. And the parents aren't even taking the time to teach them. Somebody on his side to do the talking for him in Tewa, because he doesn't know much. And this is the same thing that my dad said. It's because either the young kids nowadays are forgetting their native language. When they're spoken to, either they don't answer because they don't know how. Because the way we were taught from the beginning was, even if you don't know this person, you're supposed to say hello what are you doing? Oh, what a very nice day. Anything just to say, just to show them that you're polite. And with this program, he came once here to tell the kids story. And he was surprised when he came into the classroom that out of all the little kids that we had, there was only one that was paying attention to him, to his stories, because the little one knew what he was saying and the other ones were looking around, playing. And he said to me, "What's the matter with them? Don't they like the story?" And I said, "No, just keep on talking." I said, "It's because they don't understand," I said. And he said, "Out of all the little kids in here, out of one understands?" And I said, "Yes." I said, "Out of all of them, only one knows what you're saying." So he just sat there, told them 2 or 3 stories. And then he said, "I guess I better go home now." So he laughed, and then when I went to see him that evening, he said to me, "You know," he said, "I hope this program continues. Not only because that I'm thinking of my grandkids, but what I saw in your classroom today," he said. "These kids are really forgetting it. Sunday they're going to be asked, 'Well, tell me what's going on in your pueblo,' or write or read a story to me in your native language. What's going to happen to them now?" Then, he said, "Because right now that happens to us. We know the stories, but we can't read or write," he said. "I can tell you all kinds of stories, but if you're taking those classes and if you know how to read and write," he said to me, "you can easily do it. I want for you to carry on. And the stories that I have told you already," he said, "I won't repeat them anymore," he said, "because I'm getting old as the day goes." So I recorded some of the stories, and I brought one that's here, which we haven't gotten a chance to translate or write yet. And he said, "This is one thing I want to see, that this continues. We want our children to be able to someday speak as they go older, to be able to know what they're saying, to carry on the government that's here in the pueblos, for them to know what's being said to them, for them to understand not only the dances, but the prayers and everything as well," he said. "Because right now, even the planting has really died down," he said. "Nobody wants to plant anymore. Sure, they may clean the ditches, but you know water comes through in the ditches. How are they going to irrigate? How are the things going to grow?" he said. These things we have to look at right now. That's the reason why I tell your brothers for them to continue to plant, even though if it doesn't come out good the first year, maybe it will the following year. But if they don't learn now, who's going to be able to teach them later on, he said. So that's my feeling, and I'm just saying what his feelings are too, that this program does continue.
I myself, as a parent and a instructor, feel the same way, because I feel like that if the children don't know about their language and as well as their culture, I think they're lost. But if they keep it up and learn about it, I think it makes them feel very proud as to what they are and who they are. And being able to know your language and your culture, I think you'll never lose your identity.
Another thing is, during the summer when the rest of our group went to Philadelphia, Bertha and I were chose to go with Herman, the one that was sitting in the corner, with him to Washington, D.C. at that Folk Life Festival. And one day Herman came to me and he said, "I signed you up to speak at least 1 hour," he said. And I said, "About what?" And he said, "I want you to look this paper over, and if you think it's right, if it needs correcting, do it," he said. So Bertha and I sat there one night and we looked it over. With some things we agreed, some we didn't. Then I told Bertha to help me go over it. So she did, and we came out within about an hour and a half speech, which I thought. But I ended up 2.5 hours in there. And Herman said, I told him, when can I quit? He said, no, keep on going, keep on going. Because the people were coming in and they were throwing questions at me, and then sometimes I didn't know, myself what to say. Then I look at him and then he will answer the questions. And that's the reason why he said that we did draw a lot of interest in the people. And the festival closes at 6 and we were still there at 7.
That's great. Okay, anybody else with any thoughts, anything you'd like to say on this bilingual program?
I think it should go into the higher grades too, because this way it would help the kids that are maybe slow in their subjects. And if it was explained to them in Tewa, I think they would have understood better. I know I would have them, because one of my subjects was kind of hard on me, and sometimes the teacher didn't explain it right and I didn't understand it, but I just kept on, so I think I went back behind on that. And if it was explained to me in Tewa, I probably would have done better then. So I think it's a good thing if they would go on into the higher grades. It would really help the kids that are behind.
Well, I think that the bilingual program should continue because it has helped a lot of kids. Like Gertrude mentioned, that it has helped them to understand their culture much better and to understand what it is that to be an Indian, and not only take it as what other people tell them, because many of our young Indian kids were misled by I guess television, and they got the wrong impression of what an Indian was. But now I think that with this bilingual program, more of the kids know what it is to be an Indian, and not just what somebody tells them it is.
Okay, if I could do the same thing I did with the other group, I'd like for you all to look to your left. Just stay there for just a second. And you can see yourselves on the monitor when you do.
Scare yourself.
Okay, now look to your right.